Erich the Summoner, 3 and 2 white, for a rare legendary creature, Skeleton Spirit, 4/4, with flying and vigilance. Whenever a phylactery counter is put on a land you control, if Erich the Summoner is in your graveyard, create a Valkyr token. It's a 3/3 black and white angel spirit creature token with flying. When Erich the Summoner is put into a graveyard from anywhere, put a phylactery counter on target land you control. Arcane Resistance, 1 and a white, for a common enchantment with pay 1. The next time a white source of your choice would deal damage to you this turn, prevent that damage. Cycling for 2, pay 2, discard this card, draw a card. Artifact Resistance, 1 and a white for a common enchantment with pay 1. The next target an artifact source of your choice would deal damage to you this turn, prevent that damage. Cycling for 2, pay 2, discard this card, draw a card. Assembly of the Grove, X, 1 and a white for an uncommon sorcery with. You may reveal this card from your opening hand. If you do, at the beginning of the first upkeep, create a 1/1 green fungus creature token, then shuffle Assembly of the Grove. Create X 1/1 green fungus creature tokens. You gain X life. Cast into Exile, 1 and a white for a common enchantment with when cast into exile enters the battlefield, exile target creature until it leaves the battlefield. That creature returns under its owner's control. A harpy is nothing without her coven. Kush, 1 and a white for a rare legendary creature, fungus, 1/1, with landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, put a spore counter on Kush. Pay 1, remove a spore counter from Kush. Create a 1/1 green fungus creature token. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control or leaves the battlefield, proliferate. Choose any number of permanents and/or players with counters on them, then give each another counter of each kind already there. Crown the Queen, 2 and a white for a rare enchantment with at the beginning of your upkeep. If you control 1 or more legendary creatures, you become the Monarch. The Monarch draws a card at the beginning of their end step. Whenever the Monarch is dealt combat damage by a creature, its controller becomes the Monarch. Defender of the Sands, 1 white for a common creature, Fox Warrior, 0/2, with whenever you cycle or discard a card, Defender of the Sands gets +0/+2 until end of turn. Cycling for 2, pay 2, discard this card, draw a card. Disciple of the Sands, 2 white for an uncommon creature, Fox Cleric, 1/2, with protection from black and from red. This creature can't be blocked, targeted, dealt damage, enchanted, or equipped by anything black or red, and basic land cycling 1 and a white, pay 1 and a white, discard this card, search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle. Fire Resistance, 1 and a white for a common enchantment with pay 1. The next time a red source of your choice would deal damage to you this turn, prevent that damage. Cycling for 2, pay 2, discard this card, draw a card. Frost Resistance, 1 and a white for a common enchantment with pay 1. The next time a blue source of your choice would deal damage to you this turn, prevent that damage. Cycling for 2, pay 2, discard this card, draw a card. He who has no life, 1 and 2 white for an uncommon legendary creature, Human Warrior, 2/1, with vigilance, and whenever a non-token creature dies or is exiled from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on he who has no life.
How do you kill that which has no life?
High Justice Grimstone, 3 and 2 white for a rare legendary creature, Dwarf Wizard, 3/5, with tap and untap dwarf creature you control, tap target artifact or creature, and tap 5 untapped dwarf creatures you control, exile target artifact. Then create a number of scrap tokens equal to its mana value. They're colorless artifact tokens with tap, and sacrifice this, add colorless mana. Light of the Valkyr, 2 and a white for a common instant with prevent all damage that would be dealt this turn by non-spirit creatures. Losing the Plot, 1 white for an uncommon instant with choose a card in exile. Its owner shuffles it into their library. And Gathering for 1, pay 1, discard this card, create a 1/1 Black Elf Warrior creature token. Nature Resistance, 1 and a white for a common enchantment with pay 1. The next time a green source of your choice would deal damage to you this turn, prevent that damage. Cycling for 2, pay 2, discard this card, draw a card. Nightborn Chemist, 2 and a white for a common creature, Elf Cleric, 1/1, with when Nightborn Chemist enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 Black Elf Warrior creature token. And Gathering for 1, pay 1, discard this card, create a 1/1 Black Elf Warrior creature token. Oust a political opponent, 1 white for an uncommon instant with Emboldened, put target attacking creature on the top of its owner's library. Then if you are the monarch, that player shuffles. Monarchies stay that way for a reason. Questing Hunters, 1 white for a common creature, Dwarf Archer Artificer, 1/1, with tap 2 untapped dwarf creatures you control, create a scrap token. It's a colorless artifact token with tap, and sacrifice this, add colorless mana. Ring the Alarm, 3 and a white for an uncommon sorcery with create 2 1/1 red dwarf creature tokens. And tap 4 untapped dwarf creatures you control, return this card from your graveyard to your hand. Serena Bloodfeather, 3 and 2 white for a mythic rare legendary creature, Harpy Druid, 3/2, with Flash, Flying, and Vigilance, and when Serena Bloodfeather enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. The monarch draws a card at the beginning of their end step. Whenever the monarch is dealt combat damage by a creature, its controller becomes the monarch. Emboldened, as long as you are the monarch, opponents can't cast spells from exile. Shadow Resistance, 1 and a white for a common enchantment with pay 1. The next time a black source of your choice would deal damage to you this turn, prevent that damage. Cycling for 2, pay 2, discard this card, draw a card. Sprouting Sporebat, 1 white for an uncommon creature, Jellyfish Fungus Beast, 1/1, with flying and landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, put a spore counter on Sprouting Sporebat. And pay 1, remove a spore counter from Sprouting Sporebat, create a 1/1 green fungus creature token. Void Elf Arcanist, 1 and a white for a rare creature, Elf Wizard, 1/1, with pay 2 life, sacrifice an elf. The next time a source of your choice would deal damage to you this turn, prevent that damage. And Gathering for 5, pay 5, discard this card, create 3 1/1 Black Elf Warrior creature tokens. Vulpera Exorcist, 1 and 2 white for a rare creature, Fox Cleric, 2/2, with whenever you cycle or discard a card, exile target non-land permanent until Vulpera Exorcist leaves the battlefield. Do this before you draw. Cycling for 1 and a white, pay 1 and a white, discard this card, draw a card, and when you cycle Vulpera Exorcist, exile target creature. Its controller searches their library for a basic land card and puts it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffles. Zangarmarsh Traveler, 1 and a white for a common creature, Elf Druid, 1/2, with landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, put a spore counter on Zangarmarsh Traveler. And pay 1, remove a spore counter from Zangarmarsh Traveler, create a 1/1 green fungus creature token.
Like, comment, and subscribe for more videos.